Hey there, this is JC, your host of Breaking Chains and Building Dreams. Join me on a journey of transformation, redemption, and hope as we dive into the heart of Young Strong. From surviving the streets of Chicago to overcoming the toughest prisons, I'm here to share my story and empowerment to others to break free from their past and build brighter futures. So if you're ready to break chains and build dreams and embark on a life of strength and resilience, hit the subscribe button now. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes. This is Breaking Chains and Building Dreams. Hey everyone, welcome back to Breaking Chains and Building Dreams. I'm JC, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that hits close to home: life behind bars. This is a journey of redemption, survival, and the pursuit to a better tomorrow. So buckle up because we're about to explore the greedy reality of incarceration like never before. In this episode, I'll be sharing my personal stories from my time in prison, from the intense encounters with fellow inmates to the daily battles for survival. I'll provide a raw and unfiltered look into the harsh reality of life behind bars. But in the midst of the darkness, there was also a glimpse of hope and moments of redemption that changed my life forever. Once they called my name and they started chaining me up, putting the box on me, I knew it was time to leave. I knew it was time to, get transported again. When the feds transport you, they put you on a big plane with about 300 inmates. And you're cuffed up from the feet up with this little famous black box that just can't let you you can't scratch your nose. It teaches you like a superpower of patience, because you try sitting there with your nose or your butt itching for 2 hours and just learn to have patience to control it is like a superpower. So they started transporting me. I was in Vegas. They moved me to Atlanta. They flew me over. They got me off in Atlanta, and we ended up in the USP there in Atlanta. I remember the nurses looking at me and just, I guess, feeling sad or bad for me because I looked so bad. I had let my hair grow. I had not shaved in months, and I had spent almost a year in segregation. I was pale. I was bad shape. And we'll talk about that later. That year was life-changing. But they put me on the bus, and when we got to Atlanta, a lot of the CEOs were telling me, you're going to a really good place. You're going to a really good place. And when a CEO tells you that, it's true. I mean, I was kind of mentally already kind of booked. After spending that time in segregation, I was a little bit out of it. But I was happy to hear that I was going somewhere nice, that I didn't have to worry, because that's what gets you. So we're driving on the bus, and I start to see, really nice weather. It's green. We end up in Florida. We stop at Coleman USP. They have one, and they have first one, and they have a second one. They have 1 and 2, Coleman 1 and 2. And we start moving from there. And we ended up in Marianna, Florida. It's a medium prison, federal prison. And it's a program yard. The RDAP program is there. The sex offender program is there. There's a gang program there also. I figured that I would be able to get better when I got there, because, like the guard was saying, it was a really nice place. People did their time, they mind their own business. So I was like, maybe it's a yard that there's really no politics on. Yeah, okay. They even politic in camp yards. You think they're not gonna politic in a medium yard? So, I get there and I got my fingers crossed. I'm like really hoping that there's no Land Kings there. I'm hoping that like I'm the only one there. I could do my time, maybe one or two, so we could kick it, but nothing crazy. And sure enough, as soon as I get off the bus, they pull me into the where they check your tattoos, because you're already pretty much wearing the coat as a gang member on their file, so they're already pulling you over and checking your tattoos and just checking to see if you've even switched from another gang or whatever. They ask you questions, and they always tell you if you have any enemies on the yard, like you would know, right? But he's like, man, bro, there's a lot of your guys here. And I was like, great. And he was like, what? He seen the reaction on my face, and I was like, I just don't want to politic. I don't want to get into more trouble. I want to do this drug program and get out. Because a lot of these guys, inside federal prison, they go to the RDAP program and they mess up. They mess up because there's a lot of rules. You can't be caught gangbanging. You can't be shaking up. You can't be doing none of that stuff. And a lot of these younger kids that would come in to do the program would get caught up in the whole like cloud, I guess you could say, of being in a gang inside prison. Because when you come in, I'm not gonna lie, there's a line of respect. There's stuff that you get because you're part of that organization, and if one gets it, we all get it. So like when I got to that yard, the Land Kings were pretty much the main people getting everything in, bringing in cell phones, drugs, cigarettes, stuff like that. They were the main ones bringing everything in, and they were very organized. Usually the brothers are very organized when they're in certain places. Organizations from Chicago are very like mob-like when it comes to structure and organization. So I get there, right, and the guy's like, oh, there's a bunch of your guys here. And I'm like, man, but he's like, don't worry, they're all super cool, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, cool. So, I get there and I'm like, man, I'm just going to tell them that, I'm not going to gangbang. Don't put me on count. I'm going to talk my way out of getting more time. And here I come, and they got two big bags for me, like with everything, Air Force Ones, jogging pants. I had food. They gave me tobacco. They gave me a bunch of stuff. So I was like, okay, so maybe I'll just gangbang for a little bit. And I'm not gonna lie, like I was one of those, even though I wasn't a kid, a grown-ass man, but I got pulled in and I got sucked in with the cloud. You know what I mean? It felt good being a Land King on that yard, because all the Bloods, everybody from everywhere, from Florida, there's different cars, respected them because they had earned their stripes there. They had done their diligent work. So I started hanging around and stuff like that, and it's crazy because like little by little my conscience started bothering me more, because I did end up qualifying for the drug program. I did qualify, and they were like, okay, so since you don't have a gun in your federal case, we're gonna let you do the drug program. And the drug program, when I went in back then, it was 2 years off your sentence and 1 year up to 2 years halfway house. It's time off your sentence, and you have to qualify. You have to be a drug addict. There's a lot of things that they ask you. You have to actually answer a bunch of questions for them to let you be part of the program. But I qualified and everything, so I was like really like feeling guilty and bad, and I was like, man, how do I tell the guys that I don't want to be part of this no more? It's time for me to grow up. It's time for me to leave. It's time. I was so tired of being in prison already. I was tired. I was tired of fighting for my life. I was tired of fighting. Like I was broken. I was broken. My knuckles have scars. My teeth were knocked out. Like my head was bashed open. Like I was tired. So I get into the drug program, and I'm real cool with everybody that's there. Frankie, Flacco, everybody, and they're all super cool guys, man. And it started getting really political, where they wanted us out there all the time. We had to pray, we had to do this, we had to hang out, and things were getting a little hot for me because I was doing the drug program. I was doing it, and I couldn't get caught. I wanted to go home. I ended up calling a meeting with my my shot caller, the guy that had the keys for the yard, and I told Frankie, I was like, man, bro, like I don't want to do this no more. Like I don't want to be on count. I just don't want to do this no more. And his response was anger and frustration. And I don't blame him. Dude had been locked up for 20 plus years. It's all he knew. It's all he was a soldier. And he had been doing time for a while, so it's all he knew how to do. So like, he told me there's gonna be consequences. You know that, right? And I was like, yeah, I know that. That day I went back to my cell, and I remember picking up the Bible for the first time in a long time, and I read Psalms 51, if I'm correct. And I just remember thinking that, here I go again. Like, my life is on the line again. Like, am I gonna die? Like, and I remember just getting on my knees and just being so tired, man, because we're talking, I'm already in my 40s, and I'm like, man, I'm tired. I want to go home. So I started making a knife, and I was like, they're probably gonna come and get me. They're gonna send the new guy to come and get me. I had seen them already in action. They took care of business. They were on their P's and Q's on that yard, so I knew they were gonna handle it. And I didn't blame them. It's part of the code. It's part of the way that you live in there. It's part of life. Survival of the fittest. So I ended up not taking the knife with me to work, and I don't know, I left, and I was like, so be it. If they get me, they get me, and I went to work. I was working in the kitchen as a cook, and I even remember what we were making that day. We were making tacos. It was taco day. We were making the ground beef, and I was mixing it up in the big container with the big metal spoon. When one of the big vice lords that worked with me came up running to me and was like, hey, they're taking your boys. And I was like, what? And he's like, they're taking your boys. So immediately in my head, I was like, man, did somebody like snitch or something? Like, did somebody like say something? Now they're gonna think I said something. Like, right away my head started thinking, like, what's going on? Because like immediately you gotta look out for your safety, your well-being. You know what I mean? Like, you're not worried about nobody else in there. So I run up to the window and I see them. Yep, they're escorting 12. I think 12 or 15, all out. They had been under investigation for the past year for the cell phones, for some money transactions. One of the guards was kind of like, I guess, working with them, and so they had been under investigation already before I even got there. It's just that God showed me how big he was that day when he removed something that was, I guess, in the way of my walk, what was about to happen with me, my transformation, what was about to start happening, everything. Because after they left, it was just back to going to school. I got really involved with the RDAP program. I started working out. I got certified as a personal trainer, through NFPT, the school and the program that I teach now at the prisons. And I just got really motivated to do better, man. And I started, having my little crew of guys that I would work out with and hang out with. And it was all about just learning and getting better. I had a cellie that was Christian that it really helped me get through my time there, because he was always in a good mood. He was always very motivational. He'd always give me good advice when I was messing up or I would do bad stuff, because here and there I would mess up, I would smoke spice or drink, and he never judged me, and he was always there for me for like just a good friend. Still my friend to this day, by the way. He's out in California, but it was God. It was God provided me, a friendship, provided me a safe haven, and I really took advantage of it. I educated myself. I took typing. I took leather. I took a lot of things and got into the best shape of my life and just got ready to come home. But it takes so much more than just getting in shape and reading and getting an education. It takes so much more to get ready to come home from prison, because like I was stating in my earlier videos, you don't have emotional experience. So the first heartbreak you get, you end up drinking. The first guy that calls you a name, you end up catching the case. like I've seen dudes come right back. I've seen dudes catch bodies a couple months out, because you don't realize you're coming out more violent than normal people out here. You're not coming out like the people out here. You're not. And that's the thing, is that you have these jails, these prisons that have these guys that have been doing a lot of time, and they just release them. They think that by teaching them a trade, they're doing something for them. No, don't teach them a trade. Teach them emotional discipline. Teach them what emotional balance looks like. So that way, when they're able to control their anger, they're not coming back to prison because they're catching cases, because people outside don't know how to respect or don't know how to live like people live in prison. Yeah, that's why I do what I do. The work that I do is so important to me, and I really foresee it and feel it in my heart that God's going to call me to even go back to all the federal prisons that I was at. God has opened some crazy doors. Me and Omar will be stepping foot in East Moline. It was the prison when me and the brother met years and years ago to go speak, and going to Florence too, where I was there also. God is good, and just to see what He's doing, and I love going back to these prisons, because I see myself, and it feels good just to deliver hope, because I wish somebody would have did that for me when I was there. I wish somebody would have came in with a good message like that, and just I could have seen it in their eyes, and I think it would have done something for me. And this is why my work is so important. What I do is so important, because like if I could just get one guy to listen to me out of those 40, then I did something. And that's why, like, every day is a chance for me to be able to deliver this message, and I'm gonna do everything I can to do this full time, to just keep delivering this message, because God is good, Jesus is in charge, and the Holy Spirit powers my walk. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the depths of the prison system. Remember, no matter how tough things may seem, there's always hope for a brighter tomorrow. Stay strong, stay resilient, keep fighting for a better future. This is Jay-Z signing off from Breaking Chains and Building Dreams. Until next time, take care. Hey there, this is JC, your host of Breaking Chains and Building Dreams. Join me on a journey of transformation, redemption, and hope as we dive into the heart of Armstrong. From surviving the streets of Chicago to overcoming the toughest prisons, I'm here to share my story and empowerment to others to break free from their past and build brighter futures. So if you're ready to break chains and build dreams and embark on a life of strength and resilience, hit the subscribe button now. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes. This is Breaking Chains and Building Dreams.